Hello YouTube, and welcome back to Steel Force Welding and Forge. I've got a bit of a different video for you folks today. I was in the garage working on a stove actually for a client, and I kind of started putting around with the YouTube Analytics tab. To be honest, I don't spend a whole lot of time looking at that kind of stuff. It's not really my forte, it's boring, whatever. But the more I was digging into it, I noticed that a lot of the results that I get for my video, and what I mean by that is places where my videos show up, are two places. One is Google results. I'm assuming people just search for rocket stoves and somehow find their way to my channel. And two, a web page called prepperforums.net. So I followed the link to this Prepper Forums, and it's a pretty nice forum. There's a lot of information on there. And I was scrolling around and I found a thread mentioning how they found this guy that sells rocket stoves online, and there down below was a link to my video about how to light rocket stoves. So I was scrolling through the comments and I saw some criticism of my stoves, and I can tell you right now, if there is anyone that you want to criticize outdoor equipment, it's preppers. These guys, they know their stuff, they know what they like, they know what they don't like, they know what works, they know what doesn't work. They'll take your products, they'll beat destroy them, beat the tar out of them, and they will push your products past their limits. If there was a single group of people in the world that I would want to criticize my work on stuff like this, my stoves, it's preppers. So I went through and I read a lot of the comments, and I would like to take an opportunity to go ahead and address some of those concerns that I saw. Because, again, when it comes to opinions, I highly value those of preppers. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of walk through some of those criticisms right now. So, you folks look here, you will see almost the entire line of prototypes that I built when designing my stoves. Now, I don't have every prototype here. Like, for example, I don't have the very first stove I've ever built. But you can kind of see my progression for design until I got to my final two designs right here, which are the two that I sell. Excuse me. My first stove right here had a breech, has a nice easy way to pick it up and tip it over, removable racking here, and the big problem with this guy is it was just too heavy. And also, it didn't create enough draft, so I would have flames that would shoot out of the side or out of the front here. So, not a very good stove. I do still use this guy a lot. He's fun. Then next here, I made another stove. This is your typical L model stove. This guy had problems also. On this one, I tried making a warming plate, kind of experimenting and making different kind of handles. Then here, I tried making a micro stove, one with a lid. This was a stainless stove that I've kind of cannibalized for parts for other projects. Then here's another stove, and here's kind of where you kind of start to see my final design coming into play. The handle that I use, the offsets that I use, and this is, well, it was one of my first K model stoves. Over here is another experimental stove that I built. And here is when I was getting pretty close to the final stove version I would have. However, this is when I was trying to figure out what to do for the legs. Originally, I was going to make them out of sheet metal, something that I could cut and bend, but I found that really, unless you have a plasma cutter, it's really kind of hard cutting this sheet metal in an efficient and productive way. So I scratched that design. Then for this one, I tried adding an ash dump. This one works okay. However, I noticed that with this dump, unless it's very tight, you'll tend to lose power. So these stoves, well, they worked pretty well. Just didn't really have the power that a solid one has. And also, this guy takes a long time to fabricate. Lots of parts here, lots of different things you have to do, and lots of different kinds of steels. Finally, I came to these two designs right here. One with a lid, which I call my deluxe model stove, and one without a lid that's much smaller, which I call my compact or micro stove. And these guys have these solid legs that are just cut, bent, and welded on. So, why did I show all these designs? It's not to brag. It is a little. But I just want to show that I have a lot of experience with building these. And again, these are not all the models that I have. I've given probably 5 or 6 away to friends and family just as gifts. So I went through a lot of experimenting before coming to these designs that I have currently. Now, one of the criticisms that I saw on this prepper form with my stove is that there was concern that the legs on these stoves just didn't look like they were big enough, like they'd be too wobbly. Now, I could see that from a perspective of just looking at a video of this online. And this is the stove I actually have in the video of how to light my rocket stoves. And for the record, I have modified my plan or my design a little bit since this model as well. The newer model that I have is a slightly shorter chimney, so it's even got a lower center of gravity. But anyway, the reason that I have these kind of legs is because they're easy to make and they're economical. Whereas if I were to buy, for example, parts that had a screw on or a clip on, that adds to production time, that adds to costs. These stoves, on average, just to build one, takes around 3 hours. And that's if I'm cooking, moving really fast. So the concern was it looked like that this had too high of a center of gravity, that it would be too easy to knock over. So I want to demonstrate how stable this unit actually is. So right here, I've got a pot. I just have some steel in here to kind of give it some heft, some weight. So let's pretend this is some soup, some dinner. Throw that on there. It's fairly sturdy. Get it to knock over. You've really got to push it. It's kind of a lot to knock it over. So I want to be very clear. I love and appreciate the criticism and the concerns that I read on this forum. And if anyone on this forum happens to, or on that prepper forum, happens to see this video, please keep those criticisms coming. I want to see them. I would love to hear ways you think I can make them better. I would love to hear, just your criticisms or thoughts on how maybe, something may be, part of this design may be bad for some reason. Maybe you think, oh, maybe that air inlet's too short, or, oh, this is too long, or that's too, anything. I love hearing constructive criticism. All right, so that is that. Again, thank you everyone for your views, for your criticisms. I do appreciate them. I do read them. Keep those questions coming. Keep those comments coming. Please like this video. Please subscribe. Please do all those wonderful things so that I can keep building up that subscriber base and reach more and more people. Keep on the lookout for some new videos of mine coming down the line. I am planning on doing an entire in-depth, and I mean in-depth series on welding. It's going to include TIG welding, and that will be both aluminum, stainless, mild steel, as well as stick welding. And it's going to be a deep dive, folks. Everything from welding theory to actual definitions, number identifications, like on welding rods, for example, all that good stuff. So thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great weekend.